Welcome back, everybody. This is Power Surge and my lovely, beautiful, freshly haircut dog host, Buffy. We're back today and we want to talk to you about rhodium. Rhodium is these precious metals right here that I purchased a few years ago, and it's actually the second rarest metal on the earth. This stuff is the second rarest thing in the Earth's crust. Funny that it's very abundant in outer space, but here on the planet Earth where we live, it's incredibly rare. So because of this factor, the price fluctuates a lot. And there have been times where this metal is only $600 or $700, and then there have been other times like in 2008 when this metal was like $9,000. So it piqued my investment interest when someone first told me about it. I was very interested to know more about rhodium, and I wanted to get some for myself. This was back in 2013, and I actually made a video about where I bought my rhodium and some facts about it back then in 2013. And you can watch that video. I'll leave the link below in the description. That's an old video I made. It's very low quality production-wise. I'm sorry. That was me trying to tell you about rhodium back then. And there's actually not a lot of content about rhodium. Not a whole lot of videos or information out there about it. Surprising as it is the second rarest thing on the earth. The only thing more rare than rhodium is osmium. I bought these things in 2013 because the price had crashed so much since 2008. And at the time I got them, they were about $925 plus premium, so I paid about $1,000 for them. The general strategy with this investment for me is not to make a quick flip, even though a few months later and even a year later, these particular little dominoes of rhodium went all the way back up to like $1,400. They gained like 40%. I could have sold then and made a nice 40% flip on my money. I'm really just going to hold these for the long term, and if there is some crazy shortage of rhodium or there's some crazy demand for a new product, then I'm going to sell these when they're worth like $9,000 or $10,000 again, like they were back in 2008. So let's talk about what this metal is used for. The main thing it is used for is it's in catalytic converters, the little part of your car that takes impurities out of the air and filters the exhaust. So it filters some of the bad stuff out of your car fumes. It's also used in its purest form in X-ray machines that detect cancer, but most of the time it's an alloy. Alloyed meaning mixed with other metals, usually with other platinum metals. And they'll do this to make thermocouples or like long platinum rhodium hybrid cables and couples for measuring temperature, stuff like that. It's not a thing that we commonly see in our lives, but there are devices that use rhodium all the time. We just don't see it. For example, it is a part that is used in pacemakers as well as cars, and we all get in cars every day. So it is a metal that is a part of essential everyday life in the modern era. One use that I wanted to make sure and tell you about is that rhodium is actually combined with palladium and used to make a very thin reinforcement fiber that goes on the glass for iPads and smartphones and all these devices that have very strong glass. They use a rhodium and palladium alloy in a very, very thin fiber to reinforce that glass, like so thin we can't even see it. So there is a demand and a need for it, at least from us as a society as it stands right now. And where this metal comes from is mostly South Africa and a little bit from Russia. It's a byproduct of the other platinum metals. So they don't actually just go mine rhodium. It's usually platinum metals with rhodium there, or silver with rhodium there. It's a byproduct. The name rhodium actually comes from the Greek word for pink or reddish color, because originally in the 1800s, the guy William Hyde, who found a bunch of metals, he was selling palladium that he had isolated. You know, this is the 1800s, so you can imagine what it must be like to use a crucible back then and make your own metal bars and such. But this guy William was making palladium bars, and there was like pink and red little rocks on the outside of it, and these impurities were actually rhodium, and that's why he named rhodium rhodium. It's for pink in Greek, but it's actually a very silvery metal with kind of a bluish tint to it. You know, it has a very like pretty silvery reflective gray tone. It's not as reflective or white as silver. Silver is beautifully white. But funny fact, yeah, this guy was selling palladium bars back in the day with all these like little pink chips on it, and that was actually rhodium. The possibilities for this metal to go up 4, 5, even 10x are if something happens with the supply. Let's say the mining in South Africa gets shut down or slowed, or the people that work those mines decide to protest. You know, the conditions there perhaps are not very good, and those people protest, or perhaps there's some kind of war or a bombing, who knows. But something that increases the price of metals is generally fear. But this is a commodity that also has to do with industrial purpose. Being used so heavily in cars makes it dependent on, you know, people needing and buying cars. But currently in the last 6 months, we've seen the price go way up from like $1,300 back almost to $2,000. So there is a lot of attention on rhodium in the last few months, where most of 2016 it was like under $1,000. It was actually a great time to buy rhodium most of 2016. And since 2017, we've had sort of a silent bull run that really accelerated at the end of last year. So I just wanted to put rhodium on your radar. I'm not saying you have to go rush out and get some. It's the best investment in the world, but I definitely like to have it in my precious metals collection to kind of give me a little bit of difference between just, you know, silver and gold. If you're interested in getting a little bit of rhodium for yourself or your precious metals collection, I got mine at providentmetals.com. I'm not a paid promoter for Provident Metals. I just looked at all these different websites. There's not a whole lot of places to get it. There's only 1 or 2 websites that carry it anyway, and Provident seemed to be the best place. And they're trustworthy, they ship quickly, usually free, and I've had good business relations with them in the past. So I can recommend Provident for sure. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative. I'm going to be making more videos about precious metals coming up. If you liked it, please smash the like button. Feel free to leave a comment below. Feel free to subscribe because I do make videos all the time. And as always, just have a great day.